back, everybody, to the SmallTown Collectibles YouTube channel. Wait, I have to do that over because my guest today is one of the most energetic people on YouTube when he does his unboxing. So let's try this again. Welcome back, everybody, to the SmallTown Collectibles YouTube channel. I'm Jimmy Don Kerr. My guest today is the one and only company man. The boardroom is open. Alex W1nckinc. Everybody join me in welcoming the company man to 10 Questions.
Thank you so much for having me, man. I thought you really were cutting. I was like, wait a minute,
what's he doing? No, no, I thought, I can't, I got to be more energetic because when you start yours, man, you're just on fire. You're just after it.
I definitely try.
Yeah. So, Alex, the first question I always ask everybody on these 10 Questions interviews is just what or who got you into collecting?
It's interesting. I've always kind of collected different things growing up. Not really comics. I mean, I kind of had some very short stays with comic books because I was really into, video games and sports cards as a kid, things like that. And it's interesting. YouTube really got me into the comics, Funko Pop side. All the stuff I collect now is very new within the last couple of years. But, just like a standard kid growing up, collecting stuff, that's really kind of how it got started.
Did you have someone in your family, like I've told it on here 1,000 times, but I had an uncle that traded at flea markets and he bought ball cards because trading cards really for me is what I initially started with too. I grew up in the late 80s, early 90s when they just mass produced all that stuff. So, was there anybody in particular or is it just something that, you just kind of gravitated to yourself?
It's kind of funny because I think it's kind of in my DNA a little bit because, my grandfather, he collected tractors, but I didn't really get much from that other than I thought they looked really cool. He had a bunch of toy tractors that were, I don't even know what they'd be worth now. My dad collected he actually collected old cars and worked on cars and, had a bunch of just stuff always. So I guess it was kind of ingrained in me to start collecting something. So I guess that's where it started out. And
do you still collect the ball cards and things like that? Or have you kind of gravitated now to like the Funkos and the comic books?
It's interesting. No, I don't have any ball cards really anymore. It is mostly comic books and Funko, and that's much heavier on the comic book side. I actually have a lot of trading card game stuff as well, but I've kind of gotten away from that, shifted from it pretty substantially.
I still collect a few trading cards, but it's mainly, obviously I'm a Kentucky fan.
Yeah.
And, we have so many guys in the league from the basketball side that I just kind of started collecting Kentucky guys, really just Kentucky players, like with contenders when they're in the Kentucky uniform, but also their rookie cards, and so really trading card wise, that's all I really collect anymore on that side of it. I've really gotten into almost similar to what you said.
Yeah.
Once I started kind of fooling with the YouTube channel, really, I always read comic books. Like I've always been around them and always kind of read them. But as far as really kind of getting into collecting, I'm really probably in the past, year, really.
Yeah. So, and that's the thing. It's funny because like you're doing it very, very smart. Like you found some small sector to hone in on, like Kentucky players only. That's a difficult thing for a collector. That's so critical to collecting success or longevity. You got to hone in on something or you're going to just be beat. It's crazy.
No, it's endless. I mean, it's endless. Like I bought a statue from my LCS about 2 weeks ago, I guess. And I actually dropped the video was yesterday. And somebody was like, dude, you should not have went down that rabbit hole because it was the first one I'd ever bought. It was a Superman statue. And I thought, well,
I saw your video for it. Yeah, I did.
Yeah. It was so awkward doing that. Like, because I've been doing mainly comic books and unboxings, and like I felt like an idiot trying to do the Superman.
It's tough. It's funny. I got into statues too. I've been building these little dioramas with the statues and the comic books. I got like these square shelves. Oh man, it's a monster to go down. It's surprising how much these things are.
It really is. I can't believe it.
I can't either. I was like, oh my God. But then you get it and you're like, I get why I paid that much.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. All right. So question 2, and it's more, obviously this is going to be on YouTube. Like what inspired you or what brought you into actually starting a YouTube channel?
Interestingly enough, it's kind of funny because like I've always kind of been interested in media and things like that. I've always had a side hustle, if that makes sense. I've always tried to do different things. And really just watching it. So I'm very new to YouTube, even in content consumption from that standpoint. I never watched YouTube much at all other than, hey, I need to learn how to tie a tie. When I was a kid, I never took it like kids do now, and when I started watching, I was like, oh man, I could do this. And, honestly, I needed to do something with an LLC. And for me personally, it was like, okay, this is a great way to have a hobby and write it off as a loss. So for me, it was like, this is perfect. I can, really write off my hobby and my fun, run it as a business. It's not going to be profitable, at least for a while. At least that's what I thought initially. It's quick. It's funny how quick this can turn into a pretty substantial business at some point, especially as you grow influence and things like that. But that's really where it started for me. And, I kind of had an interesting journey. I started as a commentary channel. If you go back, I've never taken a video down or anything. You can watch my original videos where I do commentary on like game news, pop culture news. Didn't really like that much. It's a little divisive, honestly. I was like, this really isn't me. And then I started getting Loot Crate boxes. And I was like, I loved doing Loot Crate boxes. And honestly, the more terrible they were, the more fun they are. It's just so fun to open a terrible box and, and it just makes it a lot of fun for everybody. And it just kind of went from there. I was like, I'm just going to do boxes. And then that's when I saw, the big channels like Franchise Kicks. And I was like, I get this now. I see the business of this. And
that's cool. Cool. So question 3 is, what inspired the company man persona? Like, the tie and the whole thing, like what inspired that?
So Wink Inc. is definitely a play on my name. And that's what I'll say about that. And I've always actually had that handle, W1nckinc, playing games. It's my PlayStation Network handle, all the way from everything is Wink Inc. That came from school. People always kind of called me, Wink Inc. That was kind of my thing. I've always kind of dressed kind of similar to this in some ways, so it kind of was always fit. And I just kind of thought, cause I have a 9-to-5 like a lot of people do. And mine is, I'm in like a senior leadership position at my company. And I was like, man, I could really take this, maybe blend a little wrestling personality into it. I'm kind of the speech and hype guy at our company too. I'm the guy that get up there in front of everybody and get everybody going, right. That kind of thing too. So
I could see that. I mean, based on watching your videos and kind of how you come across, I could see that.
Yeah. And I love doing it too, man. There's just something about seeing it. And that's what stinks about this is I can't see people's faces, but when you really capture somebody and they really buy into what you're saying, whether it's motivational or just kind of a punch in the gut, there's no better feeling than to see how you impacted that person. So.
Well, cool, man. So question 4 is, you recently took a break from YouTube for a while.
Yeah.
And, you were kind of cruising, growing. I was kind of following your channel. Like, what prompted that break? Was it work? Was it something that came up with work that you needed to do?
Yeah, that's correct. So, I was pretty vague about it because I'm in and interestingly, I'm in like a public position for my company. So I ended up actually getting moved up into another position. And with that came some obligations contractually. So that part of that was, how you represent yourself out there on all social media platforms. Now, thankfully, and I kind of knew this was going to be the case when I did it, I was overly cautious for sure. So I got comfortable, got settled, really tried to knock it out of the park before I said, hey, I do this. Is that okay? Right. And they were like, oh, yeah, no problem. But I also understand the marketing side of, the urgency that it provides when someone does step away. Everybody loves a good comeback, right? So there was definitely a 2-pronged thing to that equation. Me being overly cautious with a contractual obligation, and then me also seeing the other side of it is like, I'm definitely coming back. I just need to use this as leverage to upgrade equipment, to do all the things I need to do to jump back into it.
Cool. So question 5 is, since you've made your comeback, how does it feel to be back?
Great. No, it was excellent. Honestly, I thought when I left, this is going to be relieving in a lot of ways, because for me, I think, some of the questions like, what's the secret YouTube sauce? I've heard you say that, like, what's the secret sauce? You don't have to get the secret sauce, but to me, it's engagement, because I respond to every comment. I engage very in depth with community people and people in the community. And that is one of the secret sauces. If you are willing to engage and put the time in, you're going to grow. And I thought when that went away, I'd be like, oh, this is a relief, but it was actually kind of miserable. You really start to miss it. You really start to say, man, that side of me was so positive. You go to work and you get beat down, this is definitely uplifting. So I miss that tremendously.
did it ever start to feel like a grind to you? Like, I know I'm probably, I guess, going on 8 months in right now.
Yeah.
And, my channel's changed a lot from when I started, because I was mainly just doing unboxings, and then
Yeah.
kind of got into doing this 10 question series. And there are times that it feels like a job, but it's fun,
Yeah, absolutely. No, you're 100% right. Yeah, it definitely can wear on you. I mean, there's a grind element to it. I've seen you talk about it before, peeling back the layers of that onion, right? Like, you're doing wardrobe changes, you're filming all your videos on a Saturday night when everybody's in bed, trying to figure out how to lay them out. And me, I was doing a video every day. Every day it was something new on my YouTube channel, whether it was a live stream on Sunday or a new video. Now, I will tell you, I'm like a grinder, right? Like, I'm a big proponent in, no excuses, play like a champion. But I got to admit, when I've cut it back to every other day for videos, it's been a humongous difference. It definitely has taken the grind element completely out of it for me and made it just total fun. That's what helped me anyway.
Well, that's cool. So question 6 is, as far as like, the YouTube experience, because, I've said it on here many times, my favorite part is the community. I found something that was missing for me that I didn't even know was missing.
Yeah.
And so, like, what's been your favorite part of the YouTube experience?
Yeah, it's funny because it's the same answer for everybody in the community side of it, because really and truly, when I started YouTube, especially going the commentary route, I was like, all right, I got my gloves on. I'm ready to dice. I'm ready to box, whatever it is. I know I'm going to catch heat. And what I didn't anticipate was that community side of it. And I've talked about that before, because, and I think I've heard you say this, and you say it so well in saying that, man, if everybody in the world acted like the community, the comic book community, we'd all be in a better place.
Yes, we would.
And that's 100% accurate. I mean, the diversity that's in here, the inclusion that's in here. I mean, it's amazing how so many people from different walks of life congregate to this and just get along. It's like a brotherhood. I mean, I can't wait till we can go to a convention. It's going to be like a wild party.
It really is. I said, like,
you're gonna be like, oh my gosh,
Well, you've probably heard me say before, like, I kind of fell into this group of people somehow.
Yeah.
And like, I don't even know how it happened. Like, I just started, somebody commented on my video, I started watching their videos, and to be able to actually go to a convention and meet these people in person, because I talked to all of them online, right? And I watch you on YouTube, but to actually get to meet you and shake your hand, and I'm a big bro hug kind of fella, hug it out. I said that would be awesome.
Yeah, I know. That's what's going to be incredible about this is, I mean, I can't wait till we can all go to like a C2E2 or something close to all of us, because it's going to be insane. I mean, gosh, there's going to be hundreds of us there, and we all are going to somewhat know each other through this.
Yeah.
So that's going to be an experience that none of us have probably ever had. It's like, oh my gosh.
But
that's it, man. That's the part of it that's the best. I mean, it changed my life for the good. I mean, I was walking down a really rigid path, cutthroat, ruthless, that persona I play is somewhat how I am, and this has completely changed that course.
And the thing is, man, I relate to that probably maybe with you. I own a company, and I am the person that everybody sees on the channel when I'm opening, boxes or doing interviews. I'm that person. Right. But in my business now, I'm pretty hardcore.
Yeah.
And have had to be, to build the business that I've built.
Right.
And there is something to this and this community that, like I said, it was almost something that was missing that I needed and didn't know that I needed, because it is very positive. It's a very positive experience, or it has been for me.
Yeah.
It's a very positive experience, and it's very different than my day-to-day life, my real life, as I call it.
Yeah, I can see that. I can 100% relate to that, because it definitely is.
Is there a part of it, is there a part that you don't like? Like, I know some people, like I said, sometimes it becomes a grind, but I'm putting out a video basically 5 days a week, so I can see that. And where you said you're going every other day, it kind of takes that away. Has there been anything at all really that you've disliked about the experience?
Yeah, I mean, I would say a little bit, just depending on, what part of it we're in. Like, really and truly, and it's all pretty much self-inflicted on me, is the perfectionist side. Really, the learning the back end of YouTube, learning the what it takes hardware wise, software wise. It's a nightmare. You're getting a mixing board, you got a mic, and now you're trying to troubleshoot it, getting it all to communicate. That part of it was, I mean, gosh, you almost have to have a bachelor's in computer science to, really get this going, and not one like I have, one that's newer. It's like,
right,
it's insane. But other than that, not really. I mean, the live shows can be a bit much sometimes. But, not really. Now I have my wife help me with them, and that's really changed it for me as well. Cause I was kind of like, oh, I got to go, Sunday at 5, I got to go do my thing. And it was like, oh man, here we go. And they're, watching whatever show. And, but now she's up here with me, and that's been huge.
Well, that kind of leads me to, how has your family supported you in what you're doing? Like, what do they think about it?
No, they've been very supportive. I'm a pretty critical person of myself. So I definitely set a high bar. And it's funny because at first I never really told anybody what I was doing. And the reason for that is basically like, hey, I'm not going to fail miserably at this and then let everybody see me do it. It's going to be bad enough. It's out there. But, they catch on pretty quick and have been really supportive. Like, all of my music on my channel is original. My dad actually mixed it down.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So all the live music you hear is original MIDIs that he does. I mean, he's a musician. It is a very small circle that is aware that I do this, like in my real life. But, as far as the immediate family goes, yeah, they're incredibly supportive.
Well, that's cool. I like too that you said your wife's you've kind of brought her into it, because my wife could care less about a comic book, like, or a trading card or anything. She could literally care less. But I think it's cool. Like, even watching some of the bigger channels, like watching Jim Mint, his wife, she's as much of that channel really as he is, in in some sense.
No, you're right. It is cool. I don't think I'll ever get her on camera though.
I don't think I'll ever get mine on camera either. Yeah. So question 7 is, and it's the one you kind of mentioned before, is, a lot of the people, like me, for example, I'm an aspiring YouTuber. You've had some success, in, like, my initial milestone was 500, right? It was 100, and I thought, hell, if I break 100, I'm killing it. And then so I met 100 pretty quick, and then I think the last time I checked, I'm 4 or 5 away from 500.
Yeah.
You're all the way up to like 2,600 subscribers now. So you've had some success. Like, what advice could you give to aspiring YouTubers, and who are trying to make it?
Yeah. So, I mean, the secret sauce is engagement, understanding how the algorithm actually works. There's a lot of information or misinformation out there, but if you reply to every comment, that counts as a comment. That's critical in getting your video back in the rotation of the algorithm. Also, for me, I looked at it like a business where I set up a marketing budget, because you do have to invest in this. And that investment comes through the community. And really, that's where you're going to grow tremendously. So what that means is, when you see a live stream, super chat, do a strategic, tactful super chat. Don't go in there and say, hey, my channel is this, please sub me. Go in there and compliment the content creator some way in a strategic fashion, to where it's somewhat interesting. Have a good thumbnail, because that little circle in your name is all they're originally going to see of you. If you have something that's a little catchy, a little well done, that's going to help out tremendously. You super chat, you're getting your name up there. Just make sure you're doing it at a strategic time to compliment the creator. There's a lot of little nuancy things you can do that really will. And also, another big one, those people put PO boxes on their page. Send them something. They're going to do a video. They're going to mention your thing. Let them know, hey, I wanted to send you something because I like your channel. You don't have to push it on them. Say, hey, I don't want you to make a video, whatever. Just say, hey, I like what you're doing. I thought maybe you'd like this. They'll make a video, and you'll just go boom. I mean, it will get you in front of a lot of people. And there's a lot of unboxers that have that type of setup where they will make a video or put it on a live stream. But if you're willing to make that investment, it's going to reciprocate tremendously. That's
the first time I've heard that answer, but I think that's genius, is almost having a marketing budget.
Sure.
Like you said, you're treating it like a business. I don't know anything else, so I go at it in a very business-like manner in how I do things.
Yeah.
But I'm also trying to learn at the same time, because I'm like you, man. This is completely foreign to me.
Yeah.
I didn't even watch YouTube. Like you said, how do I tie a tie? How do I fix something? That's what I was watching it for. And then, to be honest with you, I came across Franchise Kicks one day and started watching him unbox, and I was like, wow, this is cool. And then I found you.
Oh,
And I was like, well, this is cool, and I liked your energy. And I was like, all right, and really the truth is I was trying to prove something to my kids that you can literally do anything, and ended up with a brand new hobby that I love.
That's right. That's right. It's very much like that, man. It's so funny too.
Any pitfalls, anything like mistakes that you made that you could share with, with the viewers of things like, hey, I thought this was going to be a good idea, but that was really dumb. Anything like that?
Yeah. So, it's interesting to, you got to be, keep politics out of it is great advice. I think that's difficult sometimes, and that's the beauty of the comic book community. I think if you get a little bit, you tend, like I said, I went commentary. I'm smart enough to know to kind of toe the line, but anything divisive, I would say stay positive. Even if you're going to, you don't like a box, right? Like we've all done it. We've opened a box. You're like, do I even post this video? Did I say the right things? Don't overthink it, because you can fall into a major pitfall. And I think it's important that you be genuine without really overselling the box or whatever. You don't have to just absolutely just destroy something or somebody, but you can still be somewhat critical. If you be true to yourself, I know it sounds so cliche and corny, you really can't go wrong by doing that. As far as like big errors I've made, I can't think of any, but I've just been so organized with it too. I've really tried to be careful.
No, makes sense, man. All right. So question 9 is, what does the company man collect himself? Like, what are you collecting right now? Like, is there anything you're chasing or anything that you're working on putting together?
Oh yeah. So I, the one great thing about being away for a little bit was I was like, oh my gosh, I don't have to buy 30 mystery boxes. Right. I can actually buy stuff I want now. Let me go see if I can find. So yeah, I'm really collecting Bronze Age full runs right now of just about everything Marvel. I've been picking those up a lot lately. Top want list for me right now is probably like a 6.0 or better FF48. That's probably number 1 right now, and I'm kind of honing in on a few. But it's all comic books, actually, which is interesting. A lot of comic books, Bronze Age keys, things like that. I sell some as well, and I've kind of pulled back from that quite a bit because, like, boy, am I having seller's remorse, like, big time. I'm like, why did I sell that? Why did I sell that? So really, I'm bringing a lot more in. And I will flip some of it, try to sell some of it. But yeah, comics are a huge focus for me right now.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that. It is. It almost becomes like a second job trying to just buy the boxes. It's not trying to find something new, to keep the content fresh. Like, is there anything like, you've opened 1,000 mystery boxes. Is there anything like, what makes a good mystery box to you? Like, what is it? Just, make sure you hit my value. You've got some interesting book. Like, what makes a good one to you?
Yeah. So no, I would say that, you gotta have, to me, I think you gotta have a big GP in there. Spider-Man booth does it now. Their boxes are a little wishy-washy now. I mean, you're getting a lot of, to me, you're getting a lot of rotation of the street level hero stuff that doesn't sell, but you have that GP incentive, and that is a difference maker. That means you're buying a raffle ticket, but you're getting something in return with the potential to get a huge book. That makes their formula really well done. I think you got to have that. You got to be close to value. You can't hose people completely, but you got to be close and be willing to put a huge book in there. And the trade-off for the company that does that, or the person, is to sell a ton of books or get rid of a ton of stuff that maybe wouldn't go, in a standard retail setting. Or, if you don't have a platform to move it, mystery boxes are a great way to move stuff. I always tell people the best mystery boxes that you can buy are on Instagram, and they're from first-time mystery box people. If it's their first box, buy it, because they're going to be like freaking out. They're going to overload it. Right. Take the risk. It almost always pays off, because they're like, oh, I got to put this in. If they're seasoned, they're going to be a little bit more apt to be like, no, wait a minute, so. Right.
Yeah. They're going to put you pretty close. They've got it down. Cause I put a mystery box run together just to try it. Like, I had all these books, and they weren't really books for my PC, but they were decent books. And I thought, well, somebody might like these, at least get them back out there to somebody who will actually enjoy them.
Yeah.
There is a lot of work that goes into that. And the market changes so much
Yeah.
the prices move so fast that you think you've got a box that's $20 over, what they're paying, and it ends up being $5 over what they're paying. I
Oh,
mean,
that's
like,
right. Yeah. And it's funny too, because it's so much easier. Like if you're a new content creator, it's daunting to buy, especially if you don't have comic book knowledge. See, that's what I did. I don't have a lot of comic book knowledge, or didn't. And some of those boxes, mystery box companies, they are good to have because they do kind of lead you in the right direction. They'll mark a key. They'll show you, like, oh, this is a key. So you can really build on that. And the great thing about doing a first-time Instagrammer is, one, you're probably driving some traffic their way. Two, it's probably going to be a very positive experience. So you're going to be, that's going to show through on your video. There's just a lot of wins, and you get probably tremendous value out of it. So, a lot of good things there.
So our last question, man, is what do you watch on YouTube? I mean, and really, I asked this question. It's kind of a loaded question. I ask it because is there somebody, number one, I should be watching, but number two, somebody that I need to reach out to and potentially interview, here on 10 Questions. So what are you looking at?
So it's funny because I've actually had some people ask me this before, and my answer, I think, kind of surprises them a little bit. I watch very little of what we kind of do. I do watch some, there's people I want to support on here for sure. Like I watch a lot of comic auctions. I'm always kind of in there trying to buy comics, like Home of the New York Warriors, Keep It Thorough. Those guys, like I watch a lot of that stuff. But I also am, another side of me is the stock market. So I've been investing for years, and I watch a lot of investment channels. Like that's primarily what I constantly have on rotation. Kind of when I found YouTube and found people that did that. In fact, I almost, made an investment channel, how to invest, how to buy options, how to, really look and hone in on the market, is a Bloomberg terminal worth it, all that good stuff. But I probably spend a majority of my time watching those types of channels.
That's interesting. Like I'm the same, because I mess with the stock market a lot myself, especially lately.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Everybody.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Everybody's in it because and there's been some nice value out there, and it's just an interesting time in the financial market. If that's something that you're into, if you like comic books and you like the financial market, it's a really interesting time. And there's ways to make money.
Oh, 100%. If you like comic books, it's pretty synonymous with the stock market.
It really is.
Really, the two go hand in hand. Even in collectibles, a lot of collectibles, it is very synonymous. And maybe that's where a lot of my love for comics came from, because it's like holding a real share of stock or something. I don't know what it is psychologically.
Well, there's truth to that, because part of the fun for me, man, is almost the hustle of, getting a book and then, like, for example, the very first AF-15 I ever owned was a 1.0, and then flipping that and getting one that was a higher grade, like there's something to that. And especially the bigger books, the true keys, the true grails, you're right. It's almost like holding a stock, like an actual stock bond in your hand.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think that's part of the fun in it. And especially now, the comics are the same as the stock market. Look at all the TV shows, the spec. It's going nuts. I think comics right now are more accessible than they've ever been. There's so many resources to learn about the hobby. I mean, I'm living proof. I am born of YouTube and, the apps and the speculation websites, CBSI, Key Collector. I mean, all of those, again, they're not perfect, but boy, they give you a great foundation for an education where you could go into a comic shop and be like, okay, I kind of know how to navigate this now, even being brand new. I mean, it's definitely a great time to get into it.
Cool. Are you much of a reader, or are you more of like buy it, flip it, that kind of thing?
I'm definitely a reader. Yeah, I definitely am a reader. I'm kind of like you. I'll flip. See, my thing is like I run it like the stock market. I'll sacrifice something that I know I still want to get again to get something that I think is valuable right now before it goes through the roof. Because that's kind of what you have to do right now. You got to be very careful. You got to pick and choose. And then I'll try to go back and get that again. So, I'll be like, oh, that's not going to blow up like this is, so that, but I am a reader. I'm very story driven. And I've read a lot more over the last 2 years than I ever have. I used to read, like I told you, like every now and then I'd get into them and then I'd fall back out. But I'm DC. I'm a DC guy. I like DC quite a bit.
I do too.
But it's funny, I collect most of the Marvel keys. I love the Marvel old Bronze Age stuff the most. That's definitely my go-to.
Well, those are a lot of the books that I seek out too, as far as my collection. But I'm more of a DC guy. But I think that has a lot to do with when I was a kid, the cartoons that were on that I watched.
Yeah, and you know, I'm all sucked into that. They're like, "Why do you got all these '90s books?" I'm like, "Man, you didn't watch the X-Men cartoon, you know? You'd understand if you watch the X-Men cartoon, right?"
Yeah, no, absolutely. Brother, I think this is a fascinating talk. Like, I could almost do another 10 questions with you, but and maybe we can talk about that down the road.
Yeah.
But we do it around like the stock market / comic books, because I have quite a bit of knowledge on that, and it sounds like you do too.
Yeah.
And that would be an interesting take, as far as to try to work through something and kind of do the comparison. I think that could be fun.
I think people could get something out of it too. They may be like, hey, you know, maybe it's worth downloading, you know, Weeble or something. And
cool.
Yeah.
Brother, I appreciate it. I've had a ball.
For sure.
Yeah. I want you to know, like I said, yours was one of the first channels I found, when I got back in and really started watching YouTube, and your energy and your positivity is definitely an inspiration to me, and I'm sure to the thousands of people that watch you.
Oh, thank you so much. No, that's what it's all about, man. I really appreciate you all. Seriously.
Yeah. It's all good. All right, guys. So I'm going to let this man get out of here, but I do want to remind you that I do have the 10% off right now with Street Level Hero LA. The discount code is STC10. And most importantly, when you make your purchase, you use that code, 25% of your order will go to the American Cancer Society for cancer research. JPG was really generous in doing that with me. It's a very important cause to me, and definitely go do that. Take advantage of it. Like I said, that's STC10. Of course, you know where you can find this guy. What days are you on right now?
So I do Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Probably will start working live streams in between those. That's something I wanted to add to the channel, was more of a live stream type scenario other than just Sundays. And I'm on every other Sunday with the AM live sessions, Alex Michael live sessions.
Cool. And then obviously you can find you on Instagram, obviously YouTube. Are you on Twitter or Facebook or any of those?
Yeah. So Twitter, Instagram are my main ones, Instagram being the primary, but yeah, same deal. WincKinc, W1nckinc.
All right. Good deal, brother. Appreciate it, guys. We hope you enjoyed this installment of 10 questions. And as I always end these things, until next time.